And we're live to review an episode called, over to Jeff.
That's a weird name for an episode.
Okay, the episode is called Gold. And this is the synopsis.
Too bad we couldn't trade it in for a billion credits. Sorry,
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah. Keiller, the purser of the pleasure cruiser Space Princess, contacts Avon with a proposal for a scam. Unknown to its passengers, also ferries consignments of gold from Xerox to Earth. But the gold's atomic composition is affected by a process that turns it black and renders it worthless. He suggests that they secretly prevent one consignment from being processed and then steal it en route. However, when the Scorpio crew attempt to tamper with the processing, they are attacked by guards carrying different weapons from the rest of the personnel around the plant, allowing the consignment to go through, and the processor is destroyed. Avon and Sulin investigate and learn that Keiller used to work for a Federation president. They accuse him of intending to double-cross them. He protests that he was forced to contact them by a mysterious third party who claims to have access to a way of reversing the process. Avon decides to continue with the plan. The crew smuggle the black gold off the cruiser and meet with Keiller's original contact, who turns out to be Servalan. Servalan seemingly admits defeat and pays them for the black gold. When they return to Scorpio, however, Aurak informs them that Xerox has ceded to the Federation, meaning that Servalan is now able to recover the value of the black gold, and that the money she paid them, has paid them, being from the Bank of Xerox, is now worthless. So, quite a complex plot, but quite a nifty one, I suppose. What do you think of it, Jeff?
Yeah, she wins. I guess. What did I think of it? It was not complete garbage like the last episode.
High press.
But, and it was not so boring that I fell asleep. But it wasn't really that exciting either. There were a few moments where, a little bit of, overall it was just kind of meh. You mentioned complex plot. I had a little bit of trouble following it, I guess. There was a couple of times I was kind of like, wait a minute, what are they doing and why? Because it's sort of like they seem like they changed the plan, but then I got confused with the whole stuff about the drugs and the diversions and the other stuff. Like there was maybe just a little too much stuff that they tried to cram into it. But the ridiculous part is like it's again another like convoluted Servalan thing. Like she's always got to have like this. Yes, here's all this brilliant stuff I did to trap you into a series of events that would probably lead to somehow me possibly benefiting from this. And it's like, it's pretty much, there was that episode called Games. You could call all of those episodes Games because it seems like that's pretty much, she just likes to kind of play with them. When she's not just,
It would be nice if
doing really creepy stuff in the last one.
If they had this thing where someone does shoot her and then it just bounces off and says, look, I've got a personal shield. Let's put this to rest. You can't shoot me.
No, that would be terrible, Ben. Why would you suggest such a thing? What should happen is somebody shoots her and she dies. That would be...
There's a load of Doctor Who villains that don't shoot the Doctor enough. If we're going to go down that route.
Okay.
We're going to go down the route of people not taking the opportunity to shoot someone. There's lots of programs guilty of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Doctor Who was like this slow lumbering thing that took forever to do anything. So that was why, like, most of the time, like 80% of the time, the way they got away was that whoever they were fighting didn't move very fast at all.
Or the Daleks or Davros not shooting the Doctor straight away.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that the new series, like, sort of, ruined all that because they have these situations where they're like, oh, yeah, the Daleks would kill the Doctor, but he says stuff, and then they get scared. Like, what?
Oh, God.
The Daleks I know from the Master Plan in the first Doctor, they had a straight-on shot to kill him, they would just do it.
Oh, yeah. And the fact, and I think it was that one where they put the flamethrowers on the Daleks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they knew what they were doing. The person in charge of that production thought, yes, actually make the Daleks a little bit menacing by actually having flamethrowers on it because that's actually dangerous. So.
Yeah, that was the scariest they ever were, I think. That or Genesis, because they were pretty scary in that one too.
And it was the producer of Blake 7. After that, David Maloney, who decided to shoot them from below, not show the Daleks, not show much of the Daleks, shoot them with it dark, and it actually had good lighting for something made in the mid-70s. And nearly everything else in the 70s and 80s would be overlit. Right then, okay. So we've mentioned the plot. What about Sulin in this episode? What about her?
I like her hairstyle.
And she did shoot some people, so maybe that gets a point from Morgan.
Yeah, that was good.
And then there was this guy, Roy Kinnear, famous in Britain for being a comedy actor.
He was all right, but the problem is, it had only been like a couple episodes since they had a better fat guy, so like he was the lesser fat guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Stratford John.
By comparison, it just wasn't quite as fun a character,
Yeah, and the character was written better. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Probably the best part of this guy was actually not any of his interactions with the other characters, but the like pre-recorded stuff he did on the ship was kind of funny. Some of that stuff where he said, the overly polite voice guy. I'll be back with your itinerary and all that. And that music that Morgan pointed out they kept playing every time they would.
Right. Right then. Has Morgan got anything to say about this episode?
No, he's listening to something else.
Okay. Right then. So, yeah, I like the plot of this one. I like the fact that there was quite a bit of Sulin in this one. And so what we will do now is we'll go to the maximum power guide entry, and it'll be, and over to Jeff to please read bits out that he likes or finds interesting, or to comment on it in general.
I don't think that was in this.
Yeah, I what I've done now, folks, is I don't scribble it out because I want to see if Jeff notices. Did something amuse you? Which bit?
The describe the story thing. I'd forgotten he said something about their rotten actors. Then dinosaurs rip through the walls of Scorpio and eat the crew. If only. That would have been a better ending. For this episode, only the vocal version of the theme tune, sung by Stephen Pacey, was used.
It is actually true.
And it was only for international broadcast.
I think that might actually be true because I've heard
Really,
about a vocal version.
Thing that has lyrics.
Yeah, I heard that. I've actually read that in like the Liberation book, the book that I just read the synopsis from. They actually mentioned that.
Thought that was a joke for sure.
To tell which bits are jokes and which bits are real with this book. Like, for instance, this bit in blue, I don't know if that's a joke or true.
Obviously, I don't either. Yeah, Morgan mentioned the door sound, too. I actually thought it was pretty good. The gold planet is Voga. Yeah. That's a Doctor Who reference. I get that one. Avon doesn't blink for the first 9 minutes. Yeah, I figured they make some reference to the fact he kept calling her Pretty One.
I don't know if that's true about the earrings.
I don't either. Yep, I made a comment about the Keiller's outfit too. That he had some bright red, sparkly stuff.
Yes, and I think it was you or Morgan made the fact that you've got Keiller. He turns up there and he actually gives his code. Like, so they're going to know he went there.
Right. Unless they were planning to blow up the place on the way out. That's about the only way they wouldn't be found out. Pacey had employed his drugged acting technique for his entire run of Blake 7. We might have liked Tarrant more if he had. Yeah, or else just in the one episode he was in.
Yeah. Beta talent. Yes, he ended up with a pretty good actor playing a pretty bad character.
I'm talking about Tarrant now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously I haven't seen him in anything else, so I don't know what his, how his acting is in anything else. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to tell with this because, I mean, the only thing I can tell is that when he had an opportunity to play a different character on this show, he was better. So yeah. It may be that that the character itself is limiting.
Yeah. It's almost as if it's written by somebody who doesn't like SPs. And like they're going to write a bad version of an SP. Oh, let's make them impulsive and not thinking.
And when the show started, it seemed like it was the SPs were written from more of an NT perspective. So it highlighted that they were useful for certain things, but they were just too reckless. Whereas later on, it got a little more NF-y, where it's like the SPs need to be reined in some way. So it changed a little bit in terms of the perspective, I think. Like, no. If we all just get along, then you don't need to do all that stuff.
I think part of the problem is, I mean, if Terry Nation was still writing, he would have had a firmer grip on the characters, and it's like these guest writers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I criticize things in the first season. It's not like I thought it was spectacular, but it was more cohesive. Like I've said before, it just seems to be, it just started drifting aimlessly at some point. Whereas it did have sort of it felt like you were going somewhere, even if there was diversions along the way. and it seemed like, yeah, that the characters were usually more consistent. There were some exceptions to that, but they were always a little bit weak in how they wrote Jenna. I think she was like her usefulness seemed to depend on whether the plot required it or not. Otherwise, she was just sort of generic female character one. You know?
Yeah, that's one thing. Plus, I would also say that,
which is kind of what Dana eventually assumed that role pretty much on.
Yeah.
Is that she's sort of like, when there's a way they can use things that she can do, they do it, but a lot of the time she just kind of serves as the generic female character.
I think maybe a part of the problem is that the kind of writers that they had writing the stories, they didn't really know how to write women. Because
that's what it seems like, yeah.
Because
the thing is that personally, I like writing women better than men, because, and part of it probably is growing up seeing a lot of things where female characters were badly written.
Yep.
That I feel like there's so much potential, and really the only thing you have to do, it doesn't require a super amount of talent. It requires writing an interesting character that happens to be female.
Yeah.
That's really all you have to do, as opposed to seeing it as, oh, a character here, so let's just do that, and then they don't have a personality. You know, it's like you can view it as this is going to be the character template regardless of sex, and then you figure that out as a detail rather than the thing that is the whole foundation of the character.
Plus, it helps from your point of view that you like almost 100% F, but then also have an experience of all these thinking types around you, like brothers and son and father.
Well, I mean, if you mean it helps me understand, you know, Feeler's perspective, then obviously, yeah, I do. But I don't know if you mean because there's more women that are Feelers. That may be the case, but honestly, I mean, I think I could write those as well. You know, it's just a matter of.
Yeah, I think maybe the Feelers are more interested in writing characters and exploring the emotional side of characters.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I probably because. For me, female thinker characters would be more interesting again because it's more interesting to write characters that haven't been done to death.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and especially done in a interesting way. And so, you know, it's one thing I haven't read or seen any of the Hunger Games, so I can't comment on the quality or anything about the story. But from the little bit I know about it, one thing I would say is that it seems like the main character, most people tend to agree, is an STP character as opposed to, and then she's a female character. So at least there's something that is, you know, has been popular in recent years that kind of features a character like that.
Well,
so,
I mean, but you know, Starbuck, Cara Thrace was ESTP in Battlestar Galactica from 2003 to 2009. So, and just basically the female version of the original Starbuck. Very
I
STP.
didn't see that either, so. Okay, but so it seems like they're putting more of those characters in recent years, but a lot of my were very few.
I mean, especially if you think of it, if you're going to write a female superhero, then you're going to have a tendency to go towards an STP anyway.
What? I'm sorry, I was reading that thing in blue. What did you say?
I was saying that if you're writing a female superhero, you're going to have a tendency to write an STP type character. Because usually,
yeah, maybe.
Because the traits that STPs have are usually good for characters, those types of characters, irrespective of the sex. The STP is a good character in that role. Because you have to be unconventional, adaptive, audacious.
Yeah, I actually did sort of like that closing shot.
Oh yeah.
Up. You know, that was actually kind of well done.
Yeah, and also Avon showing him going a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Morgan mentioned the inaudible dialogue too.
Right.
When it got too loud for you to hear what they were saying. Subneutronic overlap shift.
I thought the ship looked quite a bit like the medical frigate in Star Wars. You know, at the end of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I said at the time when I first saw it, it was another Star Wars looking ship.
Yeah.
Because the Scorpio already looks somewhat Star Wars-ish, and that one did too.
Yeah, and
I think it may have been the fact that it was mostly white with that kind of stripe around the outside.
Yeah.
That was a Star Wars-y thing.
Yeah, and the way it was tall as well, the way the medical frigate was in Empire Strikes Back, which came out in 1980, and this came out in 1981.
Yeah. This is the only, really good movie of the Star Wars movies, I think. But
Oh yeah, it's like a proper film. Is Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, the other ones are fun, but Empire Strikes Back, I think, movie is being better than the rest.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it has like the action sequence that would be like most action movies climax they have at the beginning, which is the Walker sequence, because they got a better ending. Yeah, I think it's perfect as an action movie. I think it's a wonderful film. Right then. That's probably it then, folks. Now we're going to go to the out of 10s. So, your Jeffness.
All right.
How many out of 10 do you give this episode?
I'll give it a 5.
Well, it's a lot higher than the previous episode. Probably about 3.5 points higher. I think you gave that 1.5.
Yep. So, it's just it was more like the the better of the recent season episodes in terms of there's sort of a tier, I guess, of the ones that are tolerable but not really that great. And there's been a few that have been a little better than that. This one was just, kind of. If I wasn't already trying to finish the show, wouldn't have bothered probably. But I'm doing that. I'm like, yeah, this one wasn't like the last one. Didn't make me want to throw myself off anything. So there were enough moments in it to keep me from falling asleep or screaming. So a few chuckles here and there.
I've got no idea what you think of the next one, but
So what?
The maximum.
What about you?
Oh, what do I think of it? Or this one?
Yeah.
I'll give it about an 8. Which is
What did you like about it?
Well, I like the plot about it. I liked Roy Kinnear's performance. I like as Keiller. I like the fact that Sulin's in it quite a bit. Just general Blake 70 type of stuff. Yeah, I like it. It's hard to.
It's as far as Blake 70 type of stuff goes, almost. I think another thing that would keep me from giving any of these a complete 0 is that Avon's voice just is enough to carry the episode, because he sounds cool saying stuff, no matter how ridiculous it is, the thing that he's saying.
And he's done a lot of voiceover work.
So he could be saying, "I really think we need to get more pepperoni on the pizza next time.
Yes.
Cooler, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. And like I said, you might like the audio adventures where it's pretty much him talking most of the time.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly willing to listen to that, but I think a similar thing to me is in the early Doctor Who episodes, William Russell, plays Ian. He's got a great voice too. So any scene that Ian is in is it's just fun listening to him. And he's still, even though he's a lot older now, even listening to him do audio stuff now for Big Finish, all that, it's just cool listening to his voice, no matter what he's doing. So.
Right then. So I think we'll probably end it now, folks, and then we'll do our homicide review. So.
Alrighty, so join us next time for Orbit. Is that the next one?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Bye, folks.
Bye.